As an American soldier, Chuck Hagel was wounded while fighting in the Vietnam War in the 1960s and won 2 Purple Heart medals for bravery. Now, President Obama wants him as his next defense secretary.
Most importantly, Chuck knows that war is not an abstraction. He understands that sending young Americans to fight and bleed in the dirt and mud, that's something we only do when it's absolutely necessary.
Here at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Middle East analyst Frederic Wehrey says Mr. Hagel is known as something of an independent thinker who has been critical of America's wars in Vietnam and Iraq.
He's going to be really implementing Obama's vision of doing more with less. I mean, this is an era of austerity. I think he's going to be charged really with promoting America's strategic interests, but with a smaller footprint. He'll be shepherding the drawdown. He'll also be charged.
You mean in Afghanistan?
Correct. But I also think it's going to be a new era of military doctrine in terms of a reticence about committing military forces in foreign adventures. This is a man whose approach to military affairs is guided by pragmatism and his own memories of the Vietnam War.
It was an act of bipartisanship for Mr. Obama to nominate Mr. Hagel, who is a Republican.
I do think there will be a lot of creativity devoted to looking at how we can still project power in the Gulf, but with less resources and perhaps less of a footprint, and also empowering the capacities of our Gulf states, training them to provide for their own defense.
But some conservative Republicans oppose Hagel, fearing he would be too ready to trim America's huge military spending and would not be a strong enough supporter of Israel.
Well, they point, I think, to some of his criticism of Israel. There have been actual charges that he's an anti-Semite. Again, I think this reflects a guarded and, in my view, constructive approach toward America's relationship with Israel, and it's part of a broader pragmatism, I think, that informs his approach to U.S. foreign policy.
Conservatives also criticize Mr. Hagel for not having a tough enough stance toward Iran. But many Democrats are relieved with the idea of a defense secretary who would be reluctant to start a war with that country. If confirmed as defense secretary, Chuck Hagel is expected to faithfully implement the Obama administration's military policies while bringing what his supporters would call a healthy wariness of getting the country entangled in foreign military adventures. Burton Bolag, KSA2, Washington.